Welcome to Newsroom Weekly Review, your Middle East entertainment news. I'm Chella. If you're new here, I'm here every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. Moving along, according to Baghdad Mwanzi News reported, advisor to Prime Minister Hassan Alawi revealed today that the Prime Minister will tour a number of Western countries at a later time, while indicating that he will discuss in Washington the files of exit of U.S. forces. Alawi said, according to the official agency, that the nature of the discussion that Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kazimi will hold during his upcoming visit to the United States will focus on the exit of U.S. forces, with a popular trend supporting that, noting that this is the seriousness of the American sides is holding bilateral talks. He added that the Prime Minister is on a tour of a number of Western countries within the framework of his visit, will expand to brotherly and friendly countries, noting that the tour will be for the benefit of the Iraqi people. He stressed that the strengthening relations with Arab and foreign countries fall within the framework of achieving the people's interest, noting that there is a seriousness of the part of government to benefit from Arab investment offers, especially the Egyptian, Saudi, and Jordanian. Alahi added the Iraqi people hope that there will be a benefit from the comprehensive plan for Arab support and for the benefit of enabling Iraqi-Arab relations, given that the depth of Iraq is Arab. On Thursday, Dejla TV said that the chairman of the Parliament Economy and Investment Committee, Representative Ahmad Salim Al-Kinani, met with the Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kazimi at the government headquarters to discuss a number of issues related to the economy affairs in Iraq, the most important of which is supporting the industrial sector. Al-Kinani said in a statement yesterday, "We discussed with the Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kazimi a number of issues related to the Iraqi political and economic affairs, the most prominent of which are the problems and obstacles that the investors suffer from in the country," noting that the conversation focused with al-Kazimi on resolving the problems facing the investors through developing appropriate solutions and issuing government decisions that would overcome obstacles to work of investors in the country. Al-Kinani noted that the meeting discussed the government's recent decisions related to deducting investment license from lagging projects and determining whether the investor is reluctant or not in accordance with the investment law. The head of Parliament Economy Committee pointed out that there is a strong desire and will on the part of the Prime Minister to stimulate, support, and activate the industrial sector and facilitate the task of the sector by transporting import material to local manufacturers, stressing that the government is determined to support the industrial sector by facilitating the granting of loans and erasing measures and the other government's decision to support and revive the sector. Al-Kinani indicated that the meeting with Prime Minister touched on the importance of the private sector and its role in the next stage in increasing job opportunities in Iraq. Also in Baghdad, Mwanzi News reported on Thursday, Parliament Speaker Mohammed al-Habousi received White House Coordinator for the Middle East and North Africa, Brett McCurk, and his accompanying delegations. In a statement received by Mwanzi News, the media office of the Speaker of House of Representatives said the meeting discussed the next rounds of strategic dialogue between Iraq and the United States of America to expand the horizon of cooperation in economics, culture, commercial and education fields, and the continuation of the corporations and coordinations in the field of security and combating terrorism, form by providing technical and logical support and advice to Iraqi forces and increasing their capabilities. He added that during this meeting, regional development and a number of issues of common interest were discussed. And you'll have to bear with me for the next news that we have to report. Also in Baghdad, Al Madrid News on Thursday said the General Secretary of the City of Ministry announced the suspension of official working hours in the government departments for the week of the occasion of Eid al-Adha. A statement by the General Secretariat of the Council stated that Eid al-Adha holiday begins on Sunday, corresponding to July 18th, 2021, and ends on Saturday, corresponding to July 24th, provided that official working hours will resume in all state departments. And taking a look at Shafak News, the Prime Minister advisor for the election affairs, Hussein al-Hindoui, affirmed on Thursday that boycotting the elections and withdrawing candidates will not change the scheduled date for holding them. Al-Hindoui told Shafak News Agency the High Elections Commission's confirmed that the upcoming parliament elections will take place on the set scheduled date, which is October 10th. He added that the boycott and withdrawal from the electoral process will not affect the dates of its holding. Yesterday, the leader of Separatist movement, Makta al-Sadr, announced his withdrawal from the legislation election scheduled for next October in Iraq, and at the same time decided to withdraw his hand from the current federal government headed by Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kazemi and the substantial one as well. Following al-Sadr's statement, the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Hassan al-Kabi, and Separatist bloc candidates announced their withdrawal from the upcoming elections. And last but not least, out of Washington, Al-Hur reported the acting U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Near Eastern Affairs, Joey Hood, confirmed on Tuesday the strategic dialogue between the United States and Iraq in its fourth round will be held in a few days to strengthen relations between the two countries. We are very active in efforts to restore stability to the communities in Iraq that were destroyed by ISIS. Hood said during a virtual meeting at the Washington Institute for Near East Studies, he explained that the United States is the largest donor to Iraq's development through the development programs of the United Nations. We have rehabilitated more than 130 schools with this funding, in addition to 57 primary health care centers, 6 clinics, 62 water treatment plants, 17 electoral substations, and 3 hospitals. He pointed out that Congress provided a financial grant of $10 million dedicated to education, and we are working closely with our partners in the United Nations and European Union to meet the request of the Iraqi government regarding the organization and monitoring of the elections. Hood renewed the U.S. call for the Iraqi authorities to bring the killers of Iraq's activists to justice. We talk at every opportunity with the Iraqi government about human rights and that they have a duty to protect peaceful demonstrators and civil society activists, he said. He added on the 6th of July, the first anniversary of Hisham al-Hashemi's assassination was right in front of the house, and those responsible for killing him, assassinating others, and disappearing civil society activists are still at large. We have no doubt that the anti-democracy armed militia are behind these cowardly acts and are targeting human rights and democracy. They target human rights and democracy advocates, and this must end, he added. He stressed that the United States will work to push the Iraqi government to confront these militias and to bring them to justice. We are not at war with these militias. We want them to leave us alone and leave the Iraqi people alone, he added. Since the beginning of the year, about 50 attacks have targeted the U.S. interest in Iraq, especially the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad and Iraqi military bases that include Americans, and the Baghdad and Erbil airports. And attacks are often attributed to Iraqi pro-Iranian factions. And that's it for this week's Newsroom Weekly Review, your Middle East entertainment news. I'm here every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. There was a lot of tongue twister names this week in this week's script. No worries. As Iraq is headed for an international stage, we're cheering them on. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you guys next week. Take care. Make sure you join us Fridays, 4 p.m. with Newsroom Updates with Chella Smith, Entertainment News. And don't forget us on Sundays for What's Cooking in the Kitchen. You can also find us behind the scenes 24/7 on Snapchat.